In this episode, I'm delighted to introduce Robert Kilgour, who is a prominent Scottish entrepreneur, the founder of Renaissance Care and also Four Seasons Care. And he's also a prominent philanthropist and received his doctorate from Stirling University in 2023.
Right, you learn more from your mistakes than your successes. And that's very, very true. But you have to learn from them and you have to acknowledge them and put them on a shelf somewhere and keep looking at them every now and again.
Yeah, but it's 1 in 7 people, is it, that shouldn't be in NHS hospital?
Yeah, when there's
in other care facilities.
When there's no longer a clinical need.
Yes.
By law, it should be the person should be found by a combination of NHS funding or local authority funding, home care package or a care home package. On the threats that we have as a sector at the moment, I didn't expect the incoming Labour government to make social care a priority. I expected them to set up a review or a commission and kick it down the road. Now they've done that. There's no mandatory retirement age for an entrepreneur. You must be able to delegate, and I mean, you would say meaningful delegation, not sort of playing at delegating.
Let's start first of all with your journey. What was the pivotal moment that you knew that you were an entrepreneur?
Well, my father was an entrepreneur, so that's the start, if you like. And he could see from little businesses that I set up while I was at school. I set up a student magazine when I was at secondary school, and also at university. I set up a couple of businesses while I was at university. In fact, that's one of the reasons, other than being involved in student politics, that I failed to get my degree when I was actually at Stirling University. But it was my fault, nobody else's, that I got sidetracked in student politics and in starting these two businesses. So my father always could see that was, I was never going to be a corporate kind of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 person. I prefer 7 days a week, round the clock, evenings. In fact, I do my best thinking and work in the evenings still to this day. But no, I was always going to be an entrepreneur, and a lot of the bits of advice that I give myself on a daily basis are bits of advice that my father gave me when I started and was beginning my entrepreneurial journey.
And where did it start? I understand you started selling jeans as well in a market store.
Yeah, well, the two businesses I had at university, one was selling jeans and T-shirts at Ingliston Market, which is by Edinburgh Airport. I used to travel down every Sunday morning from Stirling and sell my jeans and T-shirts and back Sunday evening. And also I had a pinball machine business at university where a friend of mine's father had a sort of gaming machine business, and I got some pinball machines from him and put around the student campus of Stirling University. So that was those two businesses, and then I was elected treasurer of the Students' Association and got involved in student politics, and I still have friends today that I was politicking with at Stirling University on the student council. Two of them are currently in the House of Lords. John Reid, who was Home Secretary among many things, and Jack McConnell, they're both in the House of Lords, and I see them regularly and we reminisce about our Stirling days. So I was never destined for an academic career or becoming a lawyer or an accountant, or going into the professions or a corporate life. And so my father helped and steered me in that direction, and encouraged me to do it.
Yeah, and later on you set up Four Seasons Care in 1988.
Yeah, well, that was really by accident. I had a hotel in Edinburgh for 5 years that I bought when it was quite run down, built it up and sold it 5 years later, and went back from Edinburgh. That had been in Edinburgh. I went back to Fife, and where I'm originally from, with 2 young children at the time, and bought a building to convert an empty hotel to convert to flats. But due to grant situations being changed between me buying it and submitting planning, the grants that were initially available when I bought weren't available when I went for planning. So I had to scupper that plan. So I had this empty building and what to do with it. And I spoke to loads of people, and care home kept on coming up. And I had no idea what a care home was. So I did a lot of research and decided I've got to do something with the building, and this sounds like a good idea. I will develop it as a care home and fill it up and then sell it. But when I got to that point of it being full, it was doing well, and I really was enjoying it. And I said, well, let's do a few more of these. And that's how Four Seasons began, really. And that was the first care home I opened was around May, June time, 1989. But I founded the company in 88, but opened the first care home a year later, yeah.
And how did you scale? Like, what are the tips of scaling a business? Because you grew it to 101 care homes?
Well, but when I left in 2000, we had 101 and over 7,000 staff. It got a lot bigger than that after I left. I kept a financial interest in until 2004, and then I exited when Alchemy, who was a private equity firm that I sold to, when they exited, I exited. No, the scaling, and in fact the lessons learned from Four Seasons journey that I've tried to learn from. Another one of my father's sayings about you learn more from your mistakes than your successes. And that's very, very true. But you have to learn from them, and you have to acknowledge them and put them on a shelf somewhere and keep looking at them every now and again. So there were 3 key mistakes I felt that we made many more really, but at Four Seasons. First one was the acquisitions. There were too many outliers. And certainly with Renaissance Care, we've tried to grow the business in clusters. So that in Aberdeen, for example, we've got 6 care homes in Aberdeen. And so each care home has a maintenance person. So that means you've got a maintenance team of 6 in Aberdeen that you can throw at a problem very quickly. If you've got a problem over here, you can pull people together. And each of those 6 care homes have a staff bank, but then we have a combined, all 6 joining together so they can help each other out if they have staffing issues. And that keeps agency usage down. I mean, that's a real problem in today's care home industry is agency costs. And so if you expand and acquire homes in a cluster, on a cluster basis, then that helps with a number of things like that. But it also helps with staff development. And the key thing is to have your management systems, particularly when things are lower margin. Things were going lower margin before COVID. I would say they're lower margin post-COVID too. And that means tight financial controls are even more important. So having business modeling for budgeting and plugging in acquisitions or potential acquisitions into your bespoke modeling system that we had Kent Finance develop for us. And so using technology better in financial management so that you've got timely management accounts, which at Four Seasons, I hate saying it, but it's true. We used to get our management accounts 7 to 8 weeks after the month end.
That's a big delay.
No. Whereas now we get it sort of 10 days after the month end, which is how it should be. And the third key mistake was we were on acquisition all the time, and we didn't develop our senior management team first and then do that acquisition spurt. You were trying to add senior management people while you were going at 100 miles an hour, which was really, really not the way to do it. So I've tried at Renaissance Care to do it, acquisitions in clusters, to use technology. I mean, historically, health and social care has not been good at embracing technology. But I think COVID got us from here to here in use of technology. And I was determined post-COVID that we weren't going to slide back down, that we were going to use this as a platform to do more technology. And we're using technology and working smart, I feel, in a number of areas, both financial management, but operational management, using systems like Pain Check and Nourish, etc. So use of technology, and also having the senior management team developing that in place before we go in a big expansion, which we have in place now. And we have Renaissance Care have the platform and systems, both operationally and financial, to take on some decent-sized acquisitions in the coming years. So we're very, it's a very challenging market that we're in the demographics for the care home sector are really, really good going forward. But on staffing and funding, huge challenges.
Yes.
Which
the report you've indicated some of the solutions that we could.
Huge challenges. Yeah. But I am a glass half full person, not a glass half empty person. And I feel that huge challenges and a challenging time for a sector also is a huge time of opportunity. So if you've got the right platform and the right people, and we'll come back to how you put the right people in place and how you recruit and keep the good people. That's the key thing. Staff retention is as important as staff recruitment. We now feel we've got the platform to expand and grow, but only in Scotland this time. I'm not... I mean, I have a home in London, so my main home is in London, so it's not that I'm... despite my shirt, I'm not anti-English or anything at all. My wife is English, but it's just on staffing and funding and on a number of areas, Scotland is slightly better placed, I feel, than England in the care sector. So our focus is going to be expansion only in Scotland.
That's amazing. And you are pacing yourself, you're learning from what you did in Four Seasons and you're implementing that. And I love the idea of building your staff and your senior team before you acquire, so they're prepared. The preparedness and you take people with you on that journey.
Well, I mean, two things really. And one thing actually we introduced in autumn 2019, I think it was, 2019, before COVID. We changed from having a head office that sort of sent dictates down to the care home managers. And we set up central support office is what we changed head office to be called central support office, and explained to everyone that the role of the central support office is down here supporting those at the front line and helping get what they need to deliver the care at the front line. So instead of having a head office sending weekly diktats or daily down to the care homes, the central support office supports those at the coalface that are doing the hard yards and the heavy lifting. But I think one of the things that, another one of my father's sayings, well, there's a couple. One, he said, this is not a dress rehearsal, this is it.
Yes.
So leave it all out in the field, go for it. He would say to me, Robert, as an entrepreneur, never be afraid to surround yourself with people cleverer and more able than yourself. And also that after doing that, you also need to scale a business successfully. You must be able to delegate. And I mean, he would say meaningful delegation, not sort of playing at delegating, but actually making all the decisions yourself. Because you won't keep good people staff retention, senior staff retention, if you don't give them their heads. You give them, I maybe spend 50% of my time at Renaissance on the strategy and the vision, which includes seeking out through my network the acquisition opportunities. But I put a huge amount of effort, maybe 50% into that and 50% into selling that strategy and vision to the senior management team. Because unless they buy into it and take ownership of it and deliver it at the sharp end, then your scaling of the business will not be successful. And I don't think we didn't do that well enough at Four Seasons, and I feel that we're doing that better at Renaissance Care.
That's amazing. And I love the way you said central support. You have that to lift everyone in the care homes so that they are supported in all the right areas.
We're a people business, and I have this discussion with my finance director, and he shakes his head a bit about it. But our biggest asset
is the people. Yeah.
As a company is something that we cannot put on our balance sheet.
Yes.
I mean, COVID pandemic was a terrible thing for us all to go through. But I've never been so proud to be involved in the sector than during that period. I mean, we had amazing, ordinary people doing extraordinary things every day. And that sort of moving at my age, post-pandemic, I decided I wanted to stay in the sector long term. A lot of my friends coming out of the pandemic decided they wanted to exit. But I decided, no, I love this sector. Came into it by accident, but I love this sector. And I love people, I love property. And so I wanted to stay in it long term. But getting to my advanced age, coming out of COVID, I wanted to develop a few legacy projects. And that's where the idea for the Social Care Foundation came from. I felt that these amazing staff that did such amazing things for all of us during the pandemic, we owe them a better landscape for them to be doing the amazing work that they do. And so that really is what's behind the Social Care Foundation. Where
let's talk about that some more.
Yeah,
I mean, the review and the report.
In the run-up to COVID, it was always NHS first, social care second. And even at the beginning of the pandemic. But during the pandemic, there did become a bit more parity between NHS and social care by the time we were getting to the end of the pandemic. But I feared, and sadly I think it has come true, that we have slipped back to NHS first, social care second. And NHS and social care are two sides of the same coin. And you cannot fix, it's not an argument, it's a simple fact. You cannot fix the NHS without first fixing social care. And I mean, social care is bigger in size than the NHS. And if social care collapses, what happens to the NHS? What happens to bed blocking, cancelled operations, NHS waiting lists?
Yeah, but it's 1 in 7 people, is it, that shouldn't be in NHS hospital?
When there's
in other care facilities.
When there's no longer a clinical need.
Yes.
By law, the person should be found by a combination of NHS funding or local authority funding, home care package or a care home package. That is what happens in Germany, and I believe also in Japan as well. So we need to have a radical rethink, which I was fortunate to get Damien Green, ex-MP and ex-Deputy PM, to become chairman of the Social Care Foundation when he ceased to become an MP after last year's election. And so he was keen to do a report, and I worked with him, helping him with it over the summer, but it was majority was very much his thoughts from his time in government about what was practical, what was possible, practical, with the restraints of Treasury funding. A lot of what is in his report is quite low-hanging fruit improvements.
Yes.
That there are one or two big-ticket items in there, like the taking away of elderly care from local authorities.
Local authority, yes.
Most people accept we must have more integration between NHS and social care. They're just not quite sure. And there's no silver bullet way of that you can find under a cushion to do it. You do need, and there are risks in all potential ways of doing the integration, but it is definitely the way to go. There is Andy Burnham in Manchester is doing more integration between health and social care, and Highland Council in Scotland have done it for a number of years, and that's I want to do more investigation into how Highland are doing it, because that's a potential model too, where children's services stay with Highland Council, but Highland NHS operate care homes and deal with all elderly care. And so there is that integration. So when somebody has no longer a clinical need, they come out of hospital because it's all part of the same budget. There's not this budget sort of boxing match that goes on between local authority budgets and NHS budgets. And because when somebody stays in hospital beyond when they have a clinical need to be there, they don't just stay at that level. It's pretty much guaranteed they will slide back and deteriorate to a point where they can no longer come out of hospital. And so that's something that we must change. And actually, it is best for the patient. It's best for the patient and their families and relatives. It's also best for the taxpayers. It's much more efficient for the taxpayers because the cost of bed blocking is huge to the taxpayer. And so I think a part of the report Damien's report, is about making more efficient use of what you are currently spending. As opposed to we need more money, we need more money, we need more money. It's about making better and more efficient use. But I think on the threats that we have as a sector at the moment, I didn't expect the incoming Labour government to make social care a priority. I expected them to set up a review or a commission and kick it down the road. Now they've done that, and I have heard great things from a lot of my contacts about Baroness Casey as a no-nonsense somebody who gets stuff done. So that is a good and positive move, but not reporting till 2028.
Yes.
And then there's an election due in 2029, which means nothing will happen before 2030. So we're sitting here in 2025 and nothing's going to happen, we know, but till 2030. Although I hear that her interim report next year, 2026, might include some suggested low-hanging fruit that might be implemented early, which I've heard that from the initial meeting that cross-party MPs have had with her. So
that's promising.
That's promising, but obviously we had the employers' national insurance increases in the last budget. The big killer blow there for sectors like hospitality, retail, and particularly from my point of view, care, was the lowering of the threshold from 9,100 to 5,000.
Yes.
And that was, I closed a care home in Edinburgh because of the unexpected and unbudgeted employers' national insurance changes. So we had that. So I didn't expect Labour to make it a priority, but what I didn't expect and got wrong was I didn't expect them to make it worse. And through what they did in the budget, what Rachel Reeves did in last year's budget that came in April this year, God knows what's going to happen in the budget in November this year. But also the changes. The one that there's one current problem I'm worried about that's more immediate, and then there's a longer term one that I'm particularly worried about. The longer term one has started the clock ticking with in the spring, this spring just passed, with the overseas visa changes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's not so much what has happened now, but it's this July 2028 falling off a cliff implication, or not implication, it is going to happen by what they announced a few months ago. So long-term threat to the business, because I have 1,500 staff across the business, 450 are non-UK.
Yes.
So that is a big concern a little bit down the road. My immediate concern and threat, I fear, to the actual survival of a number of care homes is the introduction of a Labour manifesto commitment for a carer's fair pay agreement, which I'm fully in favour of, but it not being properly funded is what I am fearful of with the current pressures in view of the Treasury on extra costs. So I fear the current government is going to honour its manifesto commitment of introducing a carer's fair pay agreement, but which I'm fully in favour of if it's properly funded. But I fear, due to the current financial situation, that it will not be properly funded. And if it's not properly funded, in itself, if, say, they bring in a £15 an hour minimum carers fair pay agreement, it's not only bringing that in and the cost of that, it's the differentials. I'm a little bit concerned about some of the things in the employment rights bill that's going through Parliament and will be coming in soon, particularly day one rights. But at the moment, there's a probationary period of 2 years. But instead of reducing it to day one, there is talk of maybe having 3 months or 6 months probationary period. I would be okay with 6 months as a probationary period, but day one rights does concern me a bit. But I'm more concerned about unfunded introduction of carers fair pay agreement and the effect of that and the differentials on the viability of lots of care homes, and also the sort of countdown clock on overseas staff issue on the visas, that we've got that guillotine coming down in July 2028. And that's really a wake-up. I would say it's a wake-up. I'd be doing a wake-up call to the sector that they need to be planning this and not say, oh, the government won't bring it in because it'll be too close to an election. I mean, it's coming in.
How would you do that? How would you enrol other organisations to also start to what you're doing?
Well, it's something that the Social Care Foundation, it's on the agenda for our next advisory council to talk about this as an impending threat. How can we maybe play a part in raising awareness that this guillotine is coming down, and that you need to be looking at, you've maybe got 30%, 35% of your staff are non-UK. Can you run your care homes without them? Answer, obviously, no. So therefore, if the guillotine comes down in July 28, you have to look at, it's not a silver bullet answer, but you have to look at things. And one of the things that I came across, well, it came to my mind while I was walking the dogs on the beach recently, was, do we target looking to recruit older members of staff enough, and trying to develop a suite of an offering for to attract older members of staff to consider coming and working in care. And so it's lots of different ways. We're going to have to completely have a new approach and develop this new approach between now and when the guillotine comes down in July 28.
As you know, I'm hugely passionate about young people coming into the sector with the Who Cares Wins conference. It'll be our third one next year in March 2026. And I really feel that there's a great opportunity for schools and colleges, young people, to learn more about this sector than ever before, because the negative narrative is out there. We just have to look at the BBC News or any news channel around that. More recently with one of the homes up in Scotland, another provider. But as we start to integrate some of our learnings that we have now and how we can design amazing careers, apprenticeships for young people to come into social care, I actually think some of our solutions lie there, as well as what you're suggesting, having older people coming into
we need to do
support. Both ends.
We need to do both.
Yeah.
And relevant to both is putting a positive message out there about what a great sector it is to work in. Mm-hmm. And you and I are both passionate about the sector, but we just need government to be a little bit more appreciative and passionate about the sector and to help us promote a career in social care in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And one of the things in Damien's report College of Care, is part of that. The other thing which I feel strongly about is that the apprenticeship levy system is to encourage more training, and is not working and needs reformed. It's not working well in England, but in Scotland it's virtually not working at all. I mean, Renaissance Care pays £140,000 a year in the apprenticeship levy, and we get zero return back from that.
I see.
Zero. Uh-huh. In England they have a voucher system, and it works, but not very well from what I hear, but at least it works. In Scotland, I mean, the Scottish government just keep the money they get from HMRC under the block grant that has come from what's been taken from us by HMRC in the apprenticeship levy, and it goes to the Scottish government, and they just spend it on their own pet projects.
I see.
And it isn't made available to employers like Renaissance Care who have paid into it to do training for staff. It's like a tax on training, and then we have to pay for training for our staff on top of that. And it's all about, I mean, I do worry about the economy in general, that if we have a particularly bad budget coming up in November, we might slip into what I call a why bother economy, that entrepreneurs just go, why bother to take risks, create jobs, make investments? Why bother when at every turn we're being hammered, and we're taking the risk, in some cases betting the home on a business. And there is a complete lack of understanding and appreciation that post-pandemic, post-energy crisis, we've still got, I don't know if I ever had money stuffed down the back of a sofa or under the bed, but they do have this view that is really quite vehemently anti-business. In fact, Keir Starmer's new Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Darren Jones, that was Rachel Reeves' number 2 at the Treasury, you can Google it. He was asked by a journalist after the budget last year, what advice would he give to businesses struggling with contemplating paying in April the extra employers' national insurance contributions. And his 3-word answer, and you can see it on Google, was suck it up.
Oh.
That was,
yes.
And it's a complete lack of understanding and appreciation of what goes into creating a business, creating jobs, taking risks.
Yes.
And there has to be a reward in it, not constantly being hammered on the head at every turn.
Absolutely. I so agree with that. Now, Robert, you are in so many different areas. Like, you're passionate about a huge number of things. What would you say? Well, number one, I think, is social care for you, because of you created this social care foundation. In fact, how do people get hold of the review, the report that's
it's
just
on
been produced?
if they Google Social Care Foundation, on the social care website, there's download it from a link on the homepage on the Social Care Foundation. There's lots of other interesting stuff there, and we're having a Next Steps Advisory Council meeting next week to look at what we're going to turn our attentions to next. We're not intending to create a big sort of organisation at all. We want to be like a speedboat, sort of flexible, nimble, turning our attention to key issues and shining a spotlight on particular key issues, like the one that I'm going to suggest we do next week is to turn it to the overseas staff guillotine 2028.
Yes.
What should the sector do to try and mitigate the damaging effects that would have on the sector?
And can people get involved with that, with what you're doing? How do people?
Yeah, well, the contact details are on the website as far as info at. It's all there. So Social Care Foundation website is there and got lots of interesting
No, that has.
things
I mean,
on it.
I've read the review.
It's we're back to this is not a dress rehearsal, this is it.
Yes.
And I still have, which I hope has come through, I still have energy and enthusiasm. I'm not, if you like, I'm not done yet as far as, a few years ago, I got a Lifetime Achievement Award from, actually it was in autumn 2019, which seems an eon ago. I got a Lifetime Achievement Award from Scottish Care, which I was very proud of getting. But I said at the time, and that I wasn't done yet, and I'm still today saying 6 years on, I'm still not done. The great thing about being an entrepreneur. Now there are negative things about being an entrepreneur. Definitely negative things, sleepless nights, etc., etc. I had 2 sleepless nights making the decision about closing the care home in Edinburgh.
Yes.
That was a big decision recently. But there are also, there's some positives. There's no mandatory retirement age. We've just developed our 5-year strategy for Renaissance Care with our senior team. And I'm very positive about, despite the challenging circumstances that we've talked about during this podcast, I'm really positive about the future and looking forward to the further growth of Renaissance Care.
But you continue to support the sector in so many other ways, with your philanthropy, with your leadership, your entrepreneurship, and I know that the UK values that hugely, and I do certainly. You're a great role model. I've learned so much from you. Again,
I see it as a duty. I do see it as a duty. I like to be called a vet. I quite like being called a care veteran or a care home veteran, but I see it as a duty.
Yes.
And also to encourage, and I do work with a lot of younger entrepreneurs. I do mentor younger entrepreneurs. In fact, I'm also doing some mentoring at St Andrews University in their business school. Did it last year, doing it again this year. And I like encouraging, and I go and speak to secondary school kids about entrepreneurship, about please consider entrepreneurship as a potential career route. Because I'm passionate about that. So I feel it's a duty when you get older, like myself now, that you work hard, you play hard, but you always remember to, and I know that you and your husband do a lot of that, is make sure you put stuff back as well.
Or you pay it forward for the future generations, so we can develop our next leaders.
No, we need to look forward. There's no point looking. Well, you can learn from what's gone before, but no point looking back. Look forward. Always move forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining me on this episode. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.